This is a game called Shadows Amsterdam. In this game, you are rival private investigators trying to solve a case before the other team. What's going to happen is you're going to have two teams. We're going to have an orange team and a black team. Very observant people might notice it looks like these are pieces from different games. They are. Normally there is a black-colored private investigator as well. However, we seem to have temporarily lost that one. So we're going to use a rider from Flamme Rouge, which is another video we've done if you want to check that one out. So we're just going to sub that in. We're going to pretend this looks right, and we're just going to move on. What's going to happen in this game is you are going around this board. You're collecting clues, trying to solve this crime. But in the process, you might potentially run into the cops who don't like the fact that these private investigators are sort of stepping on their turf, and that can be bad. If you run into the cops too many times, you're going to basically get a few strikes against you, you're going to be eliminated, and the other team's going to win. But if you can avoid the cops, get the major pieces of evidence you need, and sort of get it back to the client who's hired you, then you're going to ultimately win the game. So what's going to happen is as you're moving around this board, different spots on the board are going to mean different things happen. So this is going to work kind of like Codenames, if you've ever played that game before, where there's two teams, and one person on each team knows what each spot on the board is. So you're going to get a map. That map is going to correspond with the board. You're going to line up that map with the board. And what this basically means is that this spot here is this spot in the middle. These brown spots are these brown spots here. And different spots have different things going on them. So these red X's, these are the police. And these either orange or orange and black hexagon, those are clues. And these green check marks, these are basically getting those clues back to the client. Get a bit more into those in a second. But you're going to find a card. Each card has a number on it. So this one has 20 on it. You're going to put it in front of you. You've got a little board that you're going to put in front of the card. That's going to keep the other team from seeing it. The other team is going to find the same card in their color deck with the same number, so 20. And they're going to line it up as the same as your card is lined up. So you're going to have the star at the top, the circle in the lower right, the square in the lower left. You each have slightly different maps. Certain things about your maps are the same, and certain things about your maps are different. So you need to have maps that are the same number so that the game will work, but what's on those maps is not going to be identical to each other the way they are in a game like Codenames, for example. What's going to happen is on your turn, you're going to basically tell your team where you want them to go, but you can't speak. The only way you can communicate with them is by using these cards with images on them. So you see these 10 cards, you're going to pull a card from this selection over here. You're going to play it in front of your team, and they're going to try and figure out where you're trying to send them. So let's say our team was here, and I wanted to send them here. I might play this card right here because it's got a bunch of water on it. It's got a life preserver. These people are on water. They're in a boat. So I play it. I'm trying to tell my team I want them to go this way. They're looking at the card. They might think it means something totally different. Maybe they see the color blue being a really key part of this. They think I'm referring to this one, which has got a blue background. They say this dog with a tie. This guy has a tie and is some sort of animal. Maybe they think you're moving that one. So they're trying to figure out what you mean. The only thing they can't do is move to these spots that are tan. These are essentially blocked off portions of the game. So they're going to move their guy wherever they think you're trying to send them. And then wherever they went, we're going to resolve that spot based on what that spot is on this grid. So if that spot they moved to is one with a red X on it, that means that's a spot where the police are. So that's a strike against you. You're going to take one of these red X's. You're going to put it right here on this police tracker. And if you ever get to 3 X's, you lose, and the other team wins the round. If that spot is one of these white spots, that means it's neutral. You just tell them nothing happens, it's a neutral spot. If the spot has a color hexagon of your team's color on it, that means it's one of the 3 clues you're looking for. You need to get 3 clues of your team's color in order to win the game. So if this spot was actually an orange hexagon, we'd put one of these right here, which means we've gotten one of our 3 clues, and we're going to keep on going. You'll notice some of them are both orange and black in the board. That means that this is an orange/black spot on your board, and it's also an orange/black spot on the other team's board. Whichever detective gets to that spot first, they get a clue. So if orange gets here first, they get to put an orange marker there. And when the black team gets there, they don't get to put anything there. If the black team gets there first, they put a black marker there. And when the orange team gets there, it doesn't matter. One of the key things is that when people are going wherever they're going on the board, you can't tell them whether what they did was what you wanted them to do or not. You can't be like, oh, good, I was hoping you'd go there, or, that's not what I meant. They don't know where you were trying to send them. All that they know is what you gave them and then where they went with it. You also can have people move 2 spaces instead of 1. So if I'm here and I want to send my team to this spot that's 2 spaces away, I've got to give them 2 cards. And I have to choose which 2 cards I'm going to give them simultaneously. So maybe I'd give them the ocean one that we already talked about, if I wanted them to go to here. And then I'd have to find another one that I can also give them. I'm not crazy about the things that are out there, but I got to give them something. So I'm looking at the board. Maybe I give them this one here because it's got glass windows and there's glass window on the windshield. I don't know, man. It's going to be tough for them to figure out. The key thing is I'm giving them both cards at the same time, though. So they don't know that I have this internal struggle of, I know this card is a really good hint and this card is a really weak hint. They just know these are the 2 cards I chose. So I give them 2 cards, each representing the same spot on the board. That means I want them to move 2 spaces. If this was a spot where there were police and they go here, here, the fact they were police and they move through doesn't matter. All that matters is what happens on the spot they get to. Anytime you pull a card, you're going to replace it with cards from the top of the deck, just like that. So here's the key thing about this game, though, is that both teams are taking their turns simultaneously. So you're going to find the card you want to give your team. You're going to give it to your team. They're going to figure out what you mean. You're going to move they're going to move the detective to that spot. You're going to resolve that spot, and then you're going to draw a card. You're going to do the next one. So if you do 3 moves and the other team is still trying to figure out what their first move is, cool, you're beating them. So it's a race. It's whoever gets the 3 clues first. Once you get the 3 clues, you got to get to the spot with the check mark on it. When they get to the spot with a check mark on it and they haven't gotten all 3 clues, you just tell them that's a neutral spot. It doesn't mean anything. But if they get to that spot with the green check mark on it and they've already gotten all 3 clues they needed to get, then you win the game. As you might realize, that even could mean there's one team that's trying to figure out, they know one of the cards they're going to use for a 2-card clue. They're trying to figure out what that second card is, and then you take the card that they were hoping to use. Doesn't matter, that's sort of your penalty for going too slow. The flip side to that is if you go too fast, you might be kind of reckless, and maybe you're going to send your guy into a spot where the cops are, you're going to get a few strikes against you, and you're going to lose. So you want to balance those 2 things. You want to move as fast as you can without screwing things up. Whoever is the winner of that round, you essentially get a point, and the first team to win 2 rounds or get 2 points is your winner for the game. That's how you play Shadows Amsterdam.